Hi, my name is Spoorthi Marada,
And my name is Arya Rajesh.
and we're the 10th grade representatives for White Station Model UN this year. In this video, we'll be discussing how to research. Doing research is a big part of being a successful delegate in Model UN. You will need to do this for any conference you attend, so hopefully this video helps you. Your research binder is where you can put all of your research to bring to each conference. You should include basic country information, news articles, past actions, problems, solutions, and points you want to discuss. You can always refer to this during committee, so it's important to have good research. Include anything that you think might be helpful to you during the conference. It's always better to have more research than not enough.
So in that binder, you want to include things that will be helpful to you during the conference when you're speaking in committee. An important part of Model UN is understanding your country's stance and its views. So you want to make sure you know the basic information about your country. And the best way to do this is by using your country's CIA factbook page, which contains most information about what you'll need to know. Next, although you should already be familiar with the rules, it's a good idea to include the delegate handbook, conference rules, and maybe some Parley Pro that could help you during committee. You can also include an opening speech in your binder. This is just a simple speech that outlines your country's stance on the topic and serves as an introduction to the other delegates in your committee. Some people like to write this beforehand or during committee, or they don't write it down at all and instead just use the information that they already have. But just make sure you have a basic idea of what you're going to say. It is also a good idea to include your position paper, background guide from your committee, and your research so that you can reference it easily in committee if you need it. However, make sure that you already know the information so you're not just reading off research the entire time you're talking in committee. And a great way to prepare for speaking in committee is by writing down specific talking points. And these could be just problems, solutions, or past actions that you want to discuss. Anything that you think is a good idea to bring up in committee.
You can and should get your research from several sources. One helpful source is a background guide. This is provided by the chairs of the committee of the conference you're attending. As we mentioned in our last video, the background guide provides the initial information you'll need to know about the topics you're discussing in committee. You'll get a lot of your research from websites, but make sure that they have accurate information about your country. You can go to the CIA World Factbook for basic country information. To look at past UN resolutions, treaties, and conventions, go to the United Nations websites. News sites such as BBC World can also provide current information. Try to find more websites that include past actions by non-governmental organizations or NGOs, as well as other agreements or treaties between countries. The last video covered position papers. You had to do a lot of research for your position paper. Make sure you use the sources that you used to write your position paper in your research binder. If you did enough good research for your position paper, you may not need to include too many extra sources.
So in addition to the binder, here are some supplies that you should have. Sticky notes are used to communicate with other delegates, but we'll talk about that on a later slide. And then loose leaf paper and notepads are used to write down notes, maybe write down your opening speech or talking points. And sometimes the notepad is provided, but always remember to bring some sort of paper that you can quickly jot stuff down on.
Bring pens or pencils to write with at the conference. Highlighters are really useful to annotate your research binder. If you can, bring a laptop and don't forget the charger. You can use the laptop to write your resolutions.
Sticky notes are important when it comes to Model UN because it serves as your main form of communication with other delegates in committee by passing notes. And during committee, you can pass notes with other delegates in order to create blocks or combine ideas. So how this works is you write your note and you fold it and you write to and from using country names and you pass it to any other delegate around you, and eventually it will reach the country you first addressed the note to. And sticky notes can always just be used for writing notes or talking points in general as well. And here are some final tips. Make sure to actually understand your research and your country's stance so that you're fully prepared to answer questions in committee. Right before committee, you can look over your research just to get a general overview of your information. but make sure that you are talking in committee and not just reading off your research the entire time. The next one I know we've said many times before, but remember that you're speaking from your country's perspective only, so make sure that you have enough research to understand what it is.
Do research so that you can present your solutions in caucus, and make sure that you have data to back it up. You need to be able to justify your ideas. Keep past resolutions in mind as well. These reflect the real UN's decisions that would be helpful to you in Model UN. Lastly, here are some links that might help you get started on your research. And that's it. I hope this video helped you understand the basics of doing research. As I said before, it's important to do good research for Model UN. You'll get the hang of it as you become a more experienced delegate. After a couple conferences, you'll find out what works best for you. As always, we hope this video helped, and you can email us any questions.